Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Shelly Kino, and this is hashtag No Limits. I'm doing something a little bit different for this episode. My guest and I are going to be audio only. You'll get to look at our lovely pictures the entire episode instead of seeing our handsome and beautiful faces. And I will get into that later as to why I am doing that this way. And so, yes, this is hashtag No Limits. I am your host, Shelly Kino. Hashtag No Limits is about people whose society has placed limits upon, but who are busting through those limits. Ophelia says in Hamlet, we know who we are, but not who we will be. And I believe that to be 100% true, and that there is not a better or more beautiful example than the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. I'm going to give a super simplified version of how that happens. The caterpillar literally dissolves into its cells, and it must think its life is over at that point, and yet it reforms into the butterfly. But it's not finished struggling yet. It has to struggle while it's in the cocoon in order for its wings to be strong enough to take it everywhere it's going to go. I can't imagine that that is easy, but neither is busting through the limits that society places upon a person. And so today and every week, I bring you guests who are busting through those limits or have busted through limits already, and they share with us what it's like having those limits placed upon them and what it feels like busting through those limits. So before I bring on my guest today, please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel because you don't want to miss any of my amazing guests. This is episode 239. And so you can go back and see all the amazing episodes and people that I've had on before. Please be sure, if you're watching in the live or in the replay, to give us a hashtag live or hashtag replay and where you're watching from. And I think that's all. Oh, if you have any questions for myself or Toby today about our episode, please put those in the chat and I will be sure to answer them, or Toby will answer them if they're live, and one of us will get back to you if it's in the replay. Okay, enough of just me. Let's bring Toby on today. Toby, how are you? Thank you for joining me today.
Doing really well. Doing really well. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure where you are, but in Southern Illinois, where I am, it's pretty warm, but it's pretty nice at the same time. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So Toby, tell us a little bit about you. Give us a little background of who you are and a little bit of your story.
Sure, sounds good. So I am someone who I was born with something called hydrocephalus, and it's, in very simple terms, water on the brain, they call it. We all have enough fluid in our brain to protect our brain. I had too much, and it actually pushed against my brain and pushed against my optic nerve, and so it damaged my eyesight at a very young age, probably about 3 months. And I've always dealt with that. Anybody that's knows somebody that struggles with this or has worked in a hospital and stuff like this, it's just maintenance and that kind of thing, and it's pretty painful to deal with, and there's just some things that can happen that kind of force you to be in a hospital a lot. And subsequently, when I was 24, about 20 years ago now, due to an operation that I needed to have for this condition, there's no other way to put it. It was kind of botched, and I ended up with a traumatic brain injury. And that was my cocoon moment. I think when you were describing that, I felt like I melted into myself and was sure I was going to die and didn't know how I was going to reform, because it did affect my dominant hand, for example, and just like totally threw me for, what I was going to do with the rest of my life, honestly, because I didn't know where to go. I was working in offices. I could type really fast and that kind of stuff. And um, I went for help. I believed in mental health and therapy and all that kind of stuff. And I started, I think, kind of in a bad way. I saw a psychiatrist who immediately put me on medication. And that can help people for sure, but it didn't help me and just kind of numbed me out. And I was sitting there going, I should care more about what's going on. It's terrible, but I should care more. And
Right.
what's crazy is I finally met a therapist who was really helping me, and she died. And
Oh gosh.
that was the thing that pointed me towards going back to school. And I was so thankful. I was like 26, about to be 27. And I decided, I was like, if I start now, even though it's going to take a long time, maybe by the time I'm in my mid to late 30s, I'll be able to work with people and practice on my own and things like that. And and somehow I did that. And when I was 38, I was able to work on my own. I had had a lot of really interesting jobs and stuff like that, and got kind of thrown in the fire some places and stuff like that. And so now I work as a trauma therapist and a crisis interventionist, and was very proud to work through the pandemic and help a lot of people, introduce a lot of people to telehealth. Because of my background, like I had been working with technology, and I felt like there was actually kind of like a lot of dinosaurs in psychology and mental health, and especially talking with people back then about it and having nobody listen about telehealth. And then once it happened, everybody coming back and going, how do we do this, to me, because I had already figured it out and was doing it.
Right.
And it was kind of sad. It was like the pandemic really legitimized it for a lot of people. But it was kind of sad that it took that to happen for it to happen. Um,
Right.
and now I'm licensed in 5 states. I get to work with a lot of people all over the place. And in my spare time, I've done some writing and some audio projects. So that's been the last couple years. Just since about 2022 was I starting to do that. But I have just done some things that are close to my heart. And, with education, that's I guess what I'm mainly here today to talk about is a couple of my ebooks here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about what it was like for you going through school.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned
Scary.
in the introduction to today's episode, why is it that I am just holding up a picture today and not holding it?
Mhm.
Why am I presenting just a picture today instead of having us both on camera? So we're going to
Right.
dive into those things a little bit. So which one would you like to address first?
I guess kind of the what it was like going through school.
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrifying. Uh, I actually I was never a good student. I partially because I feel like the there weren't always resources available in the ways that I learn well and things like that. And I've also said I'm kind of cursed with a visual memory. Like I do
Okay.
have a visual memory. Like if I look at a slide, I can remember, which side, a particular bullet point is on or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it's just weird. It's like I can visualize things in my mind, but I have terrible vision. So it, it's I felt like sometimes I never was really set up for success. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest uh, differences in my life was I got to take my ACT with all the accommodations. I think it was maybe 3 times, the amount of time. I had someone actually reading it to me on tape back then. um, and it was totally set up for me to succeed. And I got a 31 composite, and that's what got me into school. So it was
Nice.
like, and it was weird. It was one of those things too, where people were like, "You got a 31," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm smart, damn it," So,
Yeah,
um,
so I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I do want to talk about that because
mhm,
I think, and I don't, you don't have to name like
right,
your town that you grew up in or the school that you went to, but size wise,
mm-hmm.
would you say like how many people
Oh
were
wow,
um,
yeah,
in your school district and how many people
mm-hmm.
like in your grade level?
Yeah.
And
So,
then I'll
like in our
explain a little bit after
graduating
we answer
class,
that.
I think we had just over 2,000 people.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
That was in your graduating class.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
It was a big high school. I'm not sure, probably about 10,000 people in the district. My mom actually worked for the school district. I could ask, but I don't
No, no, no.
know.
And I mean that's good to know. So the reason I wanted to know that is leading into my next questions regarding your success in school,
Mm-hmm.
um, because sometimes I have found it's interesting depending upon the size of the district,
Yeah.
and um, sometimes bigger districts, you
Yeah.
would think, because bigger districts, that means more real estate taxes, which means
Yeah.
more funding into the school district in a lot of cases, a lot of states. And so you would think, oh, they probably have a lot of resources
Right.
for students. It's not necessarily sounding like if they had them, that
Mm-hmm.
they were provided to you.
Right. You know what it was too is, I mean, when I say the time, what they don't have too is time. you
Right.
know and that I think was part of the problem. Like, I had to meet with people after, hey, can we get these accommodations? If they had to like enlarge something or whatever, that was extra time for them, and sometimes they would forget or not have time and that kind of stuff. And even at that age, it was like I kind of got it, but I was so frustrated at the same time, of course.
Right. And were you in any kind of special education classes going through school, or
uh
were these all just like accommodations
no.
that the general education teachers were making?
Right, just general. I had I forget what they call them, but it was like a an accessibility person that I met with every week or so. And
Okay.
they taught me how to type, they taught me how to use the internet at a young age for information,
Uh-huh.
because all of that stuff was so much more accessible to me than getting a book from the library and all that stuff. So I've been learning that stuff since I was little. And they were definitely trying to set me up for success and everything. So I'm really thankful to them. I think it was, yeah, just like an accessibility. Oh, I forget what the job title was, but
Oh, so it sounds like maybe you had a Section 504 plan.
maybe.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, maybe. What's so
Okay.
funny is I've been on both sides of those, but I don't remember. Like, I've been sitting in on IEPs and stuff, but I forget.
Right. Okay. Well, and I mean, that's part of, helping people bust through limits, but also in the concept of what you said, like setting you up for success. So when you took
Mm-hmm.
your ACT exam,
Yeah,
you had those accommodations provided to you,
yeah.
you could actually show what you
That
know.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
have other people see it. That was the thing.
right,
'Cause yeah, it was a little bit of a validation to myself, but deep down I knew it, you know? I
right,
actually, it was surprising that it was that good, to be honest with you. For me, I was like, "Oh, wow, yeah." And especially in the subjects that I was strong in and everything. So, um but yeah, I mean, and that just really felt good, and it got me a scholarship to Northern Illinois University, and that also kind of made my decision for me on where to go, and
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. So they have, by the way, shout out actually to NIU. They have a great accessibility program. It actually, I think, was maybe one of the first in the country. It was the Center for
Nice.
Accessibility Resources at NIU. And I think a lot of other places kind of took their model, even to have accessibility centers on campus.
Okay.
And so they were great and integral in me succeeding at NIU. So
That's fantastic. And I so appreciate that shout out. As I said, I'm in Southern Illinois. I am part of
hmm
our Illinois Council for Exceptional Children. And I did a history of, in one of my presentations, I do a history of special, just a very brief one. And
hmm
I was honestly quite surprised to find out how much before federal regulations were in place, Illinois,
hmm
in different parts of the state, were doing
yeah.
things to support our students. That, and I now I'm blanking, but I know that it was either deaf or blind. That was
hmm
one of our first laws put into place in the 1800s already.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I mean, we have been ahead of the game, excuse me, ahead
Right.
of the game a little bit in that. And so, makes me proud to be from Illinois for that reason.
For sure.
I, um, again, I'm thinking the statement that you made, I think is just so profound, that you were not set up for success.
hmm
And it, I see that a lot
Yeah.
with, I'm a former special education teacher,
Right.
and I saw that a lot with my
hmm
students, that the mentality of the teachers, the
hmm
mentality of some of their medical providers, the mentality of some of their family members, their classmates and such, was that they were not going to be successful. And the only way they would be successful was if we, quote unquote, dumbed down
Mm.
what we were doing by
Yeah.
providing them accommodations.
hmm
And,
I hate that
and
word too. I mean, because that's the
right,
thing, something that I absolutely struggle with is people people equate blind with dumb. Like,
right,
or it's part of the reason why. So I have a straight white cane that I use. And it's like, some people look at like, are you faking it? Because I can see, I can. But it's for when I ask where something is and it's right in front of me. So I don't look like an idiot. You know what I mean? It's like, that's
right,
more of why I take it places, to be honest with you.
right.
And it's
And
a struggle.
right. And it's, I mean, if we look at our pictures,
Yeah.
both of us have glasses on.
Right?
Now, I don't know what your vision is without your glasses, but
Yeah.
mine is something like 3,200 or something. I don't
hmm
know. It's not probably that 200. It's probably like 30, 100 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And so accommodations are to provide access. They're
Right.
not to reduce
Yeah.
the
It's to level the
intensity.
playing field. It's
Yes,
to level the playing field. That's always what I felt like it's supposed to do.
yes. And it used to really annoy me. I can remember there were
Mhm.
certain teachers that I worked with over the years who made comments about, well, if your student gets an A on their report card for the quarter, it should have an asterisk behind it
Oh wow.
because they had accommodations
Right.
and the other students did not.
Right.
Well, some of us need glasses and some of us don't. So, are those of us who need glasses, do we need to have an asterisk behind our grades because we have the accommodation of glasses?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any of that stuff. It's so that's ridiculous. I hate hearing that somebody would say that.
Yeah. And I worked in much smaller schools. I mean, my
hmm
entire school's population was a tenth
Mm.
of your graduating
Right.
class. So,
Right.
definitely much smaller. Um, but at the same time, we were able to provide a lot of resources and support
hmm
for our
So,
students. And I don't know if that was just the
you
work
know,
mentality.
And something else that's really big, because this was about, going back to school and everything too. Now, one of the things, because I talk with people about this a lot too, because, and I mentioned, with my ACT, and that was what, 1999. I am the first generation of the millennials, and I graduated in 2000. And uh, okay, one of the biggest factors too, on top of this, is that technology has really made it easier to be accessible. By the time I was in grad school, it was, oh, I emailed you the PowerPoint. You can have it on your laptop as I go along and take notes and everything. And everything that was the level playing field. And,
Right.
and that's the thing, is I'm proud to say I got straight A's in my grad program because I was set up to succeed. There was no limits.
Right.
uh,
Exactly.
and no restrictions put on those different things and everything. So that was where I really felt like everything was in line and I wasn't struggling with anything. So,
Right. And your classes were not made easier because you had the PowerPoint. You
right.
all they did was give it to you so that you could enlarge it or that it was close enough to you,
Yeah,
whatever you needed, where everybody else saw the same PowerPoint. It was
exactly.
just the way in which you accessed it was
Right.
slightly different. So are you considered legally blind
Yes.
or okay.
And see,
But you
I do know my acuity. So my left eye is 20/2300 and my right eye is about 21/20. So even my right eye, it's not bad, but it's I mean, it's not awful, but it's functional. Uh and so I have a lot of problems with like depth perception and that kind of stuff as well. And
Mhm.
that's mainly how it affects me.
Okay. And going back to your statement, and we are going to get to why we're using
Sure.
graphics only today as and also your books, but going
Yeah.
back to um, your schooling and the fact that when you were in school, you had some of these, you had an accommodations paraeducator or an accessibility paraeducator,
Hmm.
paraprofessional or
Yeah.
aid or whatever term it was
Yeah.
that that
It
person
was
had.
something like that. It was something like that. Accessibility
Yeah,
aid, like that.
yeah. And how were you, and I you sort of alluded to this, I think.
Mhm.
How were you treated by the educators, but more so even your peers,
Mhm.
because you had that person with you?
Right. Well, that was the thing, because it was an hour or two every week. And so that was they would like show up at the door and I would leave. And of course that was when, hey, who's that person? Where are you going? What are you doing?
Right,
And because I mean, honestly, I mean, I did try to hide my impairment, which was kind of hard to do when I was carrying around gigantic books. Um,
right.
and that actually was something I don't want to veer off innocent, but yeah, just in general, like the technology. Even back then, it was tapes. By the time I was in college, they had things on CDs and stuff like that. Um, and but there were just very obvious things, and so I just kind of had to explain it to my peers and stuff, and that was because I would still want to be cool, you know what I mean? But
Sure.
oh hey, I'm
Right,
cool, but I'm blind, and that's kind of hard to say,
right.
for especially at that age. Um, so yeah, I mean, there were questions, and I don't even really remember how I dealt with it. It was just kind of, oh well, they helped me, and I'm learning this and that, and uh, I don't think my friends really cared that much. It was just kind of I had to make something up in the moment to explain it.
Right. Do you feel though, and this is the statement that you said that I felt you kind of were alluding to
Mhm.
what I thought was going to be your answer was because you're visually impaired,
Yeah,
people tend to think that you're less intelligent.
right. I mean, absolutely. Uh, and I don't know what it is, but it, there's just something to that. And I pick up on it. Maybe it's me too, like kind of having a little bit of a chip on my shoulder or whatever, because I pick up on it and then it's like I overcompensate and I have to uh, I mean, I had somebody, I lived in a high rise and they didn't know me. I got in the elevator, and at the time I had my guide dog,
Okay.
and they said something, and they just kind of were talking to me, and oh, you can't see very well, blah blah blah. And she said, "Do you work?" And I was sitting there. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a crisis interventionist." Like, how do I even like? Yes, I have a very like a job you definitely would not expect. But it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, yes, yes, I work. Like, I've
Right.
overcome and figured things out enough to be able to work. You know. Uh,
Well,
so
and
yeah.
that's exactly what this show hopes to address is
Mm-hmm.
yes, people with disabilities work, they can live independently, they can go to
Yeah.
college, they can
Yeah.
get married, they can have
Yeah.
children. I mean,
Anything.
it's yeah, there unfortunately is a lot of, and I don't know that people, I don't think it's intentional,
Right.
but it's just like somehow society has ingrained it in us
Because I'm
that
here thinking self-imposed limits.
uh-huh,
Self-imposed limits. That's the thing. But it's like based on what society thinks or what society tells you, you know?
right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's unfortunate because I feel like that's where it comes from. And in my work now, that's what I love the most is first of all just inspiring by who I am, and also just like
Mhm.
telling people when they are discouraged that like no, there's a way to figure this out.
Right. Yeah. And I love that you are a walking example of that
I
everywhere you go. And how do you feel when people ask you the questions? Would you prefer that they ask you the
mhm.
question, or would you prefer that they just keep their assumptions to themselves?
uh I don't know. I'm as I get older, that's my I feel I used to feel like it was kind of like my obligation to educate people on this stuff, and as I've gotten older, I've gotten tired of it. So I'm at that
Right.
um I don't know. I'm kind of a smart guy. I'll tell you a really quick story. It was funny. So a place that I was working, we were possibly moving to a new building, and all I said was, "Hey, would you mind if I came a little bit early and walked around it with you guys, the owners of my organization that I was working with?" I said, do you mind if I come over a little bit early and we just walk through it by ourselves before I walk it through with everybody else? And they were really cool. They were great. They said, yeah, that's fine. And I get there, and the realtor is with them. And so we just have this quick conversation before we go in there. And the realtor, he tells me, he goes, "Oh, um, I know somebody who's blind who works over at the elementary school." And then he goes, "Do you know him? It's this and this name." Here's the thing. This has happened to me. It hadn't happened to me in a while, but it happened then, and I have a canned line for this, and I said it back to him. Can I swear? Can I say
Sure.
something you could say on TV? I'm a smartass.
Yeah.
and and anyway, so I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. He stopped coming to our meetings." And I'm just like, and my boss kind of gave me this look, and she's African American. She got it. I was like, "I'm sorry,
Right.
but like, who is this guy?" And
Right.
what? I was 33, 34. You know what I mean? And I was just like,
Yeah.
"What? Who are you? What does that mean?" No, I don't know the guy because he's blind. Anyway,
Right.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and see, I'm the
And I'm
one
sure.
who stresses about looking stupid.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah. And that's an excellent point, Toby. And I I think of this a lot. I advocate with families going through the special education process. And
Right.
I frequently say at these meetings, how are we teaching the general education students to be around our students eligible for special education? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
certainly spending a lot of time trying to teach our special education students how
Right.
to interact with general education students.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, we spend countless hours trying to fit our neurodivergence into the general population.
Hmm.
And I mean, I understand it, but then also it should be taught the other way too.
Well, yeah, yeah, I see definitely see what you mean with that.
And I very much had always promoted and continue to promote that less is not wrong. It's,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry, different is not less. I totally
Right,
got that backwards. Different is not less. It's just different. You
right.
know, it doesn't matter
Ah, and
how
that's
you're
what's so
different.
hard with kids, because that's the thing, kids notice difference. That, like I said,
Right.
that was the first, that's why it came up, because this person would come to the door and I would leave, and they're like, part of it is like, why don't I get to do that or whatever? But it's just like,
Right.
that's weird. That's different. Why is that happening?
Yeah. And it's just a curiosity. I
Mm-hmm.
saw a reel recently from a dad, and he said they were at a playground, and his daughter is in a wheelchair, and that
Yeah.
another little girl came up and was asking all kinds of questions
Mm-hmm.
to the girl in the wheelchair and to him.
Yeah.
And he said, and the dad didn't make her stop. And I was
Mm-hmm.
so excited because it was
Yeah.
just natural curiosity,
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
Right.
I mean, the other little girl was just like, why do you have to be in a chair? And what's
Yeah.
with your shoes? And what, and
Yeah.
he said it was just beautiful if it could just be that natural curiosity,
Right.
and we just go from there,
Right.
and then he said the little girl asked his daughter to play with her,
Yeah.
and it was this beautiful thing. But too
Mm-hmm.
often parents are worried
Yeah.
or uncomfortable,
Right.
and they
And you know
might.
what's weird? Because I think it's like they don't know. They don't know how to
Right.
explain it or whatever, and it's almost
Right.
like, that they feel kind of like out of control with it or something. Because I've observed that too, and it's like they want to be the expert, and
Uh-huh.
but at the same time they don't know how to do that with those type of issues. So it's so much easier to get it from the source, I guess. I felt so bad one time. It was another thing where I was in the elevator, and somebody got into the elevator. I had my cane, and man, it was just the wrong day. I was in a bad mood, and the little girl just points right at me. She goes, "Daddy, what's wrong with him?" And I'm like, I want to be the good person and educate you. Oh, I just don't see well. And I'm like, but I am just in a bad mood, and just leave me alone, like
Yeah.
I don't need that today.
Yeah.
Um,
and
but so,
and
because
that's
I
the
also don't think it's our obligation. That's the thing. It's like it's not always your obligation to do that.
and it is one of those things. I do think that, like I said, I think society teaches somehow that having a disability makes a person wrong,
Mm-hmm.
just different. And so
Mm-hmm.
we do have to be intentional as parents and as educators to teach about people who are different than us.
Right.
That that person, no matter what that difference between you and that person is a person. That
Mm-hmm.
thing that is different from you and them is just
Right.
one tiny part
Right.
of who that person is. It's one of their character traits. It's one
Right.
of their, physical um, appearance items. I mean, it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
So, because it's not people, so because it comes to what I do now, and yes, I'm able to relate to all different types of people, even though they can see perfectly fine and all this other kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a way that I can relate to people. And actually, kind of in my career, that's been one of the things that I've enjoyed, and one of the things that I feel good about when I'm able to say, like, yeah, I know what you're going through, using my struggle with the TBI or anything like that, to relate to people that are either struggling, or you know what I mean, all these different things. And so there's some people that would say, well, like, how do you relate to your clients when you can't see? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, we're all human. That is such a very small part of, you know what I mean, like, who we are
right.
as people, honestly. um I think it's funny that it is just such our dominant sense, especially in the world I think that we live in today, with did you see this? Did you see that? Somebody posted this. Did you see it? And it's like, and it's funny because I said, oh, I watched the game. Maybe I just listened to it, but I'll say I
Right.
watched it. You know what I mean? But it's just
Yeah.
kind of what people default to.
Right. It is. And this is something else that I say a lot is we do not communicate clearly.
Mm-hmm.
If we did, I think we would have so many fewer problems with each
Right.
other. And just like that, you say, oh yeah, I saw the game. Well, you don't literally necessarily mean, you might, depending
Right.
on if you were able to make it so that it was the right size and depth
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but somebody else is like, well, you're legally blind. What do you mean you saw?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so, well, okay, this is what I meant. Like I listened to the game,
Yep.
but for you to, I just used the word saw, or
Yeah.
we so often speak the same words,
Right.
but have different meanings behind what that word means to us in that moment.
Right. And see, I really fell in love with that too. And when I was in broadcasting, I was in broadcasting and producing on the radio side and stuff like that. And I've always loved radio broadcasts because they are for people that can't see. If you're driving, you know what I mean? You don't have a TV in the car, so it's for you to turn it on.
Right.
But the point is they're more descriptive. And it's so funny because I've been a guest on sports shows and I'm able to talk intelligently about things that happen because they're described to me and I understand, what's going on and everything. So it's just another example of like there's ways to compensate and figure things out. You know, one of my favorite quotes that changed my life was Viktor Frankl,
Mhm.
who said, when you're struggling with something about the world that you cannot change, that's when it's time to change yourself. And it's
Mhm.
all about, it's a little bit about acceptance. I preach this when I talk to people, like, so accepting that it's the fact instead of like, there's a fine line because I believe in trying to change the framework sometimes and making things right for everybody. But there's sometimes when it's just easier to adapt, you know, and figure
Right.
out, okay, this is how it is, so what do I do about it? Instead of trying to, well, it has to happen this way, you know?
Right. And I think that's a great segue to talk about countries of the world described, because you had to change yourself or
Yes,
change something in your environment for yourself.
right. And so yes, so I got uh motivated to do this project a couple years ago. Um so like I said, I sometimes I can fake it, like I can see, or I just act certain ways, and people, oh, you can't see later on. One of the things that people are always kind of interested in is that I have a pretty good sense of geography, and like I had said earlier, like I do kind of have a visual memory. And one of the things, like when Google Earth came out and I got an iPad and I was actually able to hold it right up to my face and zoom in on things and look at things and that kind of stuff, I kind of kind of developed some mental images and stuff like that, and then it just stuck. And so people have been kind of impressed with that I know geography and stuff like that. And I got an idea to make an audiobook, which is called Countries of the World Described, and it's on Audible. Um, but it's just a literal description of the different countries, how they're shaped, some of their major, uh, like the high and low points and population and things like this. Kind of like an almanac in audio
Mhm.
version, but also describing things in a literal sense and stuff like that. And it was just kind of my hope that it would help. So the subtitle is for people that just aren't visual learners, or people that aren't visual learners or learn in a different way. Um, And because, I think for a lot of people, just looking at a map, it's especially if you're not a visual learner, like that doesn't help so much. But
Right.
what else is there for geography? And that was kind of, my original thinking with this anyway.
Yeah, and I am a visual learner, but
Mm-hmm.
I still think, because I did listen to, you can listen to a sample on your website, and I was listening to that sample, and I think it would be helpful even for those of us who are visual learners, because it talks like the sample that I listened to talked about countries and what surrounded them. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I listened to that multiple times,
Yeah.
I could say, oh, okay, this country on the north is
Right.
bordered by whatever.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the boundaries, oh, it's are not the boundaries, the borders, like, oh,
Yep.
this bordered by this river, or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then also
Right.
to the left is, or to the west is this, whatever.
Yeah.
And I do think that extra explanation, even for those of us who are visual learners, would still be a great supplement in,
Mm-hmm.
any kind of geography class at any
Right.
level.
And really, when I first did it too, and I think we were talking about this just a couple minutes ago, or before the interview, it would be so cool to sit there with a topographical map, which is one
Yes.
that where you can feel it, and there's elevation for the mountains and things, and different things for rivers and all that kind of stuff. But to sit there and actually listen to it and feel, that's why I put like a little preface in there that west means to the left, east means to the right, all that kind of stuff
Mhm.
when you have a map that's oriented with north at the top. And that type of stuff is just good to know. um, but also, yeah, if you were to basically be able to follow along on that type of a map, I think that would be probably the easiest, coolest way for somebody to learn, because you could just kind of move around and you're getting that, almost that, if you can see a little bit, that little bit of visual, but also the feel and the being able to follow along and just kind of know where things are. I think that's what kind of helps, basically kind of like store it in your memory then. And
Mhm.
then, you know, having that visualization in your mind of this country is over here and so on.
Yeah. Well, and the more senses you
Mm-hmm.
can get when you're learning something, the likelier you are to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile,
Yeah.
which, I mean, what we were just describing, you had three out of the four. You didn't have the
Yeah.
kinesthetic part.
Right.
But yeah, using it to topographical. I have a hard time with that word
Yeah.
apparently. Having a topographical map, and then yeah, you get the visual, then you get the audio,
Mm-hmm.
and you get the tactile because you're touching it.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, and I only ever taught K through 8,
Right.
so I didn't have to get into countries of the world so
Right.
much. But in the United States, around third to sixth grade usually
Yeah.
is where the learning of each of the individual states and their capitals happens.
See,
And so,
and
in
that
your
was
spare
another
time,
that
do
was
another
another
one for the states.
that was my next one, to work on, actually, was
Oh, perfect.
doing something like that. Yes.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All right. Well, I want to now move over to your next book.
Mm-hmm.
Don't follow the money.
Don't follow the money. Why would somebody say that? Um, so this book it's dealing with gender issues, and it's telling two stories. One is about David Reimer, who had an accident and um, had some confusion regarding his gender. And what happened was his parents came home from this accident basically, and turned on the TV, and there was a man named Dr. Money who was preaching that gender has nothing to do with biology. And my focus is more on kind of the nature versus nurture debate, because his thought was, if you just basically lie and say that he was always a female, and that that this would just he would just kind of adjust, and nothing would happen. And the other story in the book is about a doctor named Stanley Biber, who developed the transgender surgery and perfected it, and then trained other people to do it. And my point in the book is really too just that it's such a shame that these two stories basically never intersected, and that David grew up in a time where these things weren't accepted, and there weren't ways to deal with this and things. And just two, that actually the parents got the exact wrong message, I feel like, anyway, from Dr. Money. But they followed his advice, and it did not turn out well for anyone involved, really.
Right. Yeah. And that book and Countries of the World Described are available through your website, which
Yeah.
is, let me pop that up here. It
Oh,
is just www.toby.help.
that's right.
And if you are interested in reaching out to Toby, you can email him at write, WRITE, Toby, TOBY, at yahoo.com. So that's write.toby@yahoo.com. So on your website, though, you have 5 audiobooks.
Yes.
Did you write or narrate all 5 of these?
I did, yes. Well, I wrote them, and then I produced them, picking the narrators and that kind of stuff.
Okay. So these are all available through your website, but are they all also available on Amazon?
Yes. So basically, the links on the website are just over to Audible. I really like the audiobooks, and that was kind of my point. I picked the narrators kind of based on the subject and stuff like that. Don't Follow the Money. I really am proud of that audio book. It's actually narrated by an award-winning narrator who won the Golden Mike Award in 2024. So I was really proud that she, and her name is Molly Sikors. She did a great job, and as soon as I heard her audition, I didn't listen to any more of them, and this is perfect. And it's very gripping, and it's pretty short, that one. It's only about 40 minutes. It wasn't that long, but just as soon as I heard the narration and everything, it was pretty powerful. But yes, they're all available on Audible. I have some codes for people if they want for Don't Follow the Money anyway. I have about 10 codes that I can send you where people can download it for free. So I can send those to you, Shelley, and if people are interested, they can get those.
Great. Thank you so much for offering that to my audience. So audience, if you are interested in Don't Follow the Money, just reach out to me. And I don't know if I have an email that I can slap up here that you can see it, but mine is Shelley at ShelleyKino.com. And just remember, when you're spelling my name, I have that second E behind my L. So it's SHELLEY.
Right.
SHELLEYKENOW.com.
Right.
And I don't think I have a quick one that I can just, I'll throw this up here. This takes you to my freebies page, but I mean, if you just do Shelley Kino, Shelley at Shelley Kino, that's not my email. That was my website. I put up the wrong one. I apologize for that.
And I do think I have my contacts. I was telling you, I got my email hacked this week, so that was kind of a problem.
Right.
But I do have everything back now. So.
Yeah, you've had a rough couple of days from what you were telling me before we went live. So
yeah, That's
hopefully
right.
that'll settle down and things will.
Anything I can handle. Not anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last thing that we haven't talked about is
Mhm,
because we've talked about your books and we've talked
mhm,
about your childhood. We really haven't touched too much on the traumatic brain injury. I mean, you talked about
mm,
it in your introduction, but
yeah.
we really didn't ever answer the question of why are we not on video today?
Oh, and it was just kind of making it easier, I guess. I have issues with video I have in the past, and I mean, the honest answer is I'm just more comfortable this way.
Yeah.
As it's funny because it has more to do with my visual impairment. Uh, I'm like, I like to be unseen because that's how I feel everything else is. It's like, oh, the whole kind of I'm waving my hand in front of my face like John Cena. You can't see me, you know?
Right.
So uh I don't know. It's more of just feeling more comfortable that way and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I went ahead and put my own graphic up instead of me being on camera
Hmm.
because I wanted to, like, that sort of in solidarity type
Yeah.
of support for you today.
Yeah.
And, it is different, but again, different doesn't mean less. It
Right.
just means
So, and
different.
I'll tell you, so what I use Mac computers because Mac computers have great accessibility feature into the built into them.
Uh-huh.
And so I have my colors inverted, which means because I see so much better with white text on a black background.
Right.
It changed my life. I never want to use a computer the other way, and I use my own. But it's like I see your face and everything, but it's just different, and I don't
Right.
know. Like it just doesn't do anything for me anyway. I don't know how else to put it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
where I'm
No.
not really doesn't yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, but thank you honestly just for again, it's just kind of like leveling the playing field. So
Right. Yeah. And I was happy to do that. And I hadn't discussed that with you ahead of time. I mean, I had told you,
hmm
you could be on or off screen, but I just really felt today when I was preparing that if you were
yeah.
going to be off screen, that it just seemed the right decision to make for me to
hmm
also be off screen. And honestly, um, this is how all podcasts are. I mean,
Yeah.
all audio podcasts. So,
Right.
that's just, I'm just preparing it for the audio and displaying it that way, instead of the video. And then eventually the audio will be a little bit different. So,
hmm
it's been interesting. I will be honest to have
Yeah.
done it this way because I haven't ever, I had one other guest that I was on the screen with by myself and I just had it was kind of an awkward thing because I think we saw like the roof of his car,
Oh Lord.
because he was like having problems. He kept thinking he
Right.
was going to get it fixed, and
Yeah.
he never
That's what I
eventually, it
was
was like
afraid
me
of
and the roof
today
of a car.
anyway,
Yeah.
with all the
So,
technical issues.
um, yeah, I just figured, for today's purposes, I will
Yeah.
just be a graphic as well.
Um
And
I
speaking of Audible,
yeah.
I do want to mention as you were talking about it that I have a book. My book has been out. It's Those Who Can't Teach.
Mm,
It's been out since 2020, but I am finally, and
mm.
I hope this will make many people in my audience happy because it's because of you that I've done this,
Oh.
turning it into an Audible book,
No.
this summer. But I have always wanted to be the one to be the voice, and
Mhm.
that's been part of the problem is me finding the time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I
Er,
finally found a studio. I finally have some time, and
right.
so I'm hoping in the next few weeks to
Cool.
get it out there, and then I will understand your pains with Audible and the codes and the
Yeah,
how to do it all. But anyway,
right. They actually
so
are pretty good with the production process. I was really pleased with that, so
oh, good. That's awesome to hear. Well, Toby, we just have a couple minutes, and
Mhm.
I want to, give you opportunity if you have any lasting words of encouragement, anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to talk about today.
Yeah.
Here, take these few minutes now to do that.
Um, I think we've really covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about. I was glad I actually that just some things came up organically that I was able to share, and just those little anecdotes and stuff like that. And that's like I try to. I think that's the way I communicate best is through anecdotes and like
Uh-huh.
my experiences and stuff. And so I'm glad that we've gotten to do that, and basically just I mean, encouragement for anybody that does feel like they're struggling, to try to find a way and to try to adapt to the circumstances that are going on, and don't let those circumstances place the limits on you and everything. Try to figure something out that'll allow you to achieve your dreams.
That is beautiful. Yes, absolutely. And I think that is what a
Ah,
lot of the differences between those who are successful and those who aren't. It's not
mhm,
so much intelligence or grades in school, but it's the tenacity to keep going and to try
mhm. Can
different
I tell you
things.
something I
Yeah,
thought of? So, because this is a word that I preach is acceptance. And I learned about acceptance and commitment theory. That's how I know if somebody's has been to school, because it's not acceptance and commitment therapy. It's
right.
ACT, acceptance and commitment theory. But it's a lot, when I learned that quote from Viktor Frankl, it kind of built on that philosophy, because that philosophy is a lot about kind of trying to change things within the framework that's there, instead
Mhm.
of and I say that because I say that people, when somebody goes through a traumatic change, I feel like we go through the 5 stages of grief, because at the
Sure.
beginning is denial. Like with my brain injury, that was the thing, was no, that didn't happen, or it's going to get better next week. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Yep.
there was all the rest of it too, the bargaining and blah blah blah. And it was finally when I accepted it and said, "Damn it, this is the way it is. How do I deal with this now?" You know.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing that I've been able to pass along to a lot of people. It can be harsh. I don't mean to be harsh, but it's like, okay, like accept it and figure it out. Try to figure out how to move on, instead of trying to struggle against the fact that it actually happened. You know.
Yep.
So.
I, yeah. I think so often of Thomas Edison
Mhm.
and the fact that I don't know if you're aware of this, but when he was trying to figure out how to light the light bulb and keep it lit,
Yeah.
that he tried, and there's,
Oh yeah.
I've heard two different numbers, but they're both massive numbers,
Right.
between 500 and 1,000
Mm-hmm.
different things
Mm-hmm.
before he found the thing that worked. And
Right.
each time he didn't look at the thing that didn't work and say, I failed.
Yeah.
He said, well, now I know another thing that doesn't work.
Right. Right.
And I think if we can have more of that attitude,
Yeah.
I think we're more apt to continue to move forward and try to solve our whatever situation we're
For
in.
sure. No, it is such a, because why after the 400th one would you go, I guess it's just not out there, you know what I mean? So yeah, I
Right.
get that. Um,
Yeah. And that, yeah, I mean, he had such belief that there was something.
right.
He just hadn't found it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, again, Toby Unterfranz, thank you. I had to put that umlauted U in
Right.
there.
Thank you.
Um, thank you so much for
Thank
being my
you.
guest today. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank
And to all of my audience, we will see you next time. And remember, we know who we are, but not who we will be. Have a great time, a great week, everybody. Bye bye.